Man, I took a Gordon Ramsay cooking course on
Masterclass.
Yes, and one of the things Gordon Ramsay said is that most of the time, people's home cooking isn't as good as restaurant cooking because they don't add enough salt and butter.
Exactly.
He said if you just add more salt than you think you need and more butter than you think you need, it's going to come out better.
Seriously. Really.
That's what we did with the podcast. It was like just more salt, more butter.
Yep.
And so,
that's a good metaphor.
So anyway, thank you so much for doing this.
No, thank you. This is great.
Bill's guest, Bill introduces.
Yeah, this is how it works. So I'm really excited about this, and I told my wife when I got home, I was like, "You will never guess who's on the podcast tomorrow." I am so excited. And Kristian and I have known each other for a long time. I guess we just established.
She was really disappointed when you told her what.
She was like, "Oh, Kristian, is that who you were talking about?" I was like, "Yes." So I refer to Kristian as the Quentin Tarantino of restaurateurs because he has 7 restaurant concepts.
I love that.
He has seven restaurant concepts so far, and they've all been different. So he's going through all of the restaurant concepts. I don't know what the next one is.
There's only 3 more.
Yeah.
I've either got to do fast food or...
Yep.
Yeah.
God, I was thinking fast food. How cool would that be, right?
My Happen Jenny's.
Yeah.
What?
So I wanted to create a restaurant called Happen Jenny's after my parents.
Yeah.
Upscale diner.
Yeah.
That's what BLD was in Forest Acres.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, upscale diner.
I think that location
That was just a bad location.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was a great concept, bad location.
But upscale diner and all the foods that I like.
Yeah.
So, like, you're not going to get anything super fancy. You're going to get it plain but good.
Almost did that years ago, back in late 90s, early 2000s. I almost did that one. It was going to be very traditional diner at lunchtime, breakfast and lunch. And then in the evening, the only change cosmetically to the place is the lights would be dimmed a little bit more. We'd probably throw tablecloths on the tables. And then the menu would be upscale diner, you know.
So you serving like ribs and fish fry.
But everything would be like a diner. Like everything would be cooked literally right behind the counter. Like we ended up doing at Gervais and Vine. Like it was like fast, like quick order. But upscale, kind of like. Well, and the reason I didn't do it is because that's what I ended up doing at Gervais and Vine. Is when I switched over to the tapas thing and cooking right in front of people behind the bar there. That scratched that itch. So that's why I never did that one.
So Kristian, for all the people who don't know who you are and what you do, what do you do? You have we've mentioned different restaurants. Can you describe kind of what your business is?
Yeah. So I own restaurants. I've got Bourbon on Main Street, a whiskey bar, Cajun Creole. I've got the Dragon Room in the Vista, which is kind of a Pan-Asian cocktail bar, Japanese izakaya style, so also like small plates. And then Black Rooster over in West Columbia, which is now Italian with a rooftop bar and all that. Prior to that, back in 95 or 94, opened Blue Marlin with Bill Dukes, then left there and went on to open Mr. Friendly's, Gervais and Vine, Solstice, Rosso, and then...
So the restaurants you've described are some of the best restaurants in Columbia.
Thank you.
For a long time. And like I've only known of you through Bill because he talks about you all the time. He's got a Bourbon impression.
It's like one of the most famous people. So like I'm name dropping. It's like he's my Kardashian. Like I'm just going, But I could ask Kristian.
Nobody would watch that Kardashian. Nobody would watch that reality show.
I say that all the time. I could ask Kristian. I don't know.
Yeah. But the idea of what you do is a very cool concept, and in Columbia we kind of think of it as people are doing that in L.A. and New York and Miami, but you're doing it here. So, a couple questions: why here, in Columbia, and what is your kind of secret sauce? How do you see it? How do you set it up? What's your strategy for creating such good restaurants? Your track record is unprecedented. So it's like, what is it that have you defined it, or do you know what that is that has kind of made these restaurants good and sustainable?
Well, so let me start. Why Columbia? All right. Columbia, I ended up in Columbia back in 93 when we moved down here so my wife could go to graduate school. And I was kind of biding my time, like as to where we were going to end up next when she was finished. And I ended up instead, and I did not, I waited tables prior to that. And then I went to culinary school during my senior year at the University of Minnesota. So, and it wasn't in food service. So we ended up here, and I just kind of was going to try to bide my time, and I ended up getting a job at Garibaldi's bartending, and then got asked to manage Longhorn Steaks, and then found out that the reason that they hired me there was to have me open Blue Marlin. So before I knew it, I was in the restaurant business full-time, more than full-time, like 100-plus hours a week. And that drove wife number one away. And so there I was in Colombia, and I grew to love Colombia because it's a city. It's a growing city in the south, but it also has kind of a small town atmosphere to it. And there were gaping holes in the dining scene at the time. And I thought, having come from Minneapolis, I thought, well, there's an obvious one there as far as like this. You have to remember, this is 1995, early 95. There was a gaping hole as far as like upscale Southern, locally sourced food, restaurant at a lower price point and a lower kind of scale as far as like, I wanted someplace to be casual. I've always wanted restaurants that I would feel comfortable coming into wearing shorts and a t-shirt or a tuxedo, and just knowing that the food that gets put in front of me is going to be like a higher quality, upscale version. And if you look at all the restaurants, that's the common theme amongst all of them, is elevated food, casual atmosphere. And if there's a secret sauce, that would be it. But, first and foremost, it's all the people that buy into that and follow along and do it with us, that keep it going. Because in the early days, it was me at the restaurant behind the line cooking, then leaving the line in between lunch and dinner, and doing the books and all the other aspects, and then coming back onto the prepping, and then coming back onto the line cooking throughout the evening, and then at the end of the night mopping and taking the trash out and everything, and sleeping a few hours, coming back and doing it again. Over the years, now that we've got 3 restaurants and F2T Productions down at City Roots, I can't do that. Also, dude, I'm 58. Like 2 nights on the line, and my knees hurt, my feet hurt, my back hurts.
Do you ever bust out the apron and the white jacket?
Oh yeah,
and get behind the
I've never been a white jacket guy, but yeah, no, I love to. Okay. I love. I'll be honest. Like my favorite place is the dish pit. I love washing dishes. I'm the best dishwasher.
There's a clarity to it.
Yeah, there is. But also, I get to watch the kitchen, and I get to watch everything that's happening, and I get to see, like maybe where our time motion aspects of the business are not working well. Like if I can see the kitchen. You can
break down the processes.
Yeah, I can see the processes, and I can see where we could save some time, or if I can watch and see if a ticket's running long, and if there's a common theme there, like it's one item on the menu that's screwing everything else up. Like that's taking the longest. Like I can see all that stuff. And so that's kind of my favorite spot. But I like working the line, and I love the fact that they can call me at a moment's notice and say, hey, so-and-so's out that tonight, can you grill? And I'll be like, yeah, sure, love to. And it's, and it's fun to be able to walk in and show all the young guys that the old guy still knows what he's doing.
So do you develop all the menu items? Like
I used to do for all the restaurants? I used to do all of it. Now I've got such great chefs at each place that I kind of let them. They can come up with the menus, and then they just pass it through me. I'll make my suggestions, and then I'll also bring them dishes that I want to, put on the menu. Same with the cocktail programs and everything. I'll do the same thing. I let them develop, but they have to pass it through me. We'll always have a menu cut. Basically, it's a review process. Sit down, they present the dishes. I tell them if there's something missing or something that they might need to do to tweak it. Same with cocktails. And then other times I just give them a dish and go, here, I want this on the menu.
What kind of characteristics do you look for in a head chef?
Calmness.
Cool.
Yeah. You have to be calm. You have to be firm. You have to be a leader. You have to lead by example. You have to, like one of the questions is always like, what do you hate about some of the chefs you've worked for? And like a lot. Normally it's like, well, the guy was a jerk. He was demeaned me and he yelled a lot and everything like that. And it's like, there's a place for yelling, but it has to be couched in a real reason. Like say you're a really good sauté cook, but tonight you're screwing up. It's definitely within his right at that point to yell at you and get your head out of your ass. You're better than this. You can do better. So a calmness and keeping everybody calm, especially during the rush. We're not curing cancer here. We're serving food. Everybody settle down, take a moment, breathe, look at what you have on, look at what you have on tickets.
So it's a little bit like a head coach of a football team.
It really is. Yeah, it really is. Yeah. And I would say more of like almost more of a special teams coach. Because it's the same. Then you've got the same thing out on the floor with your floor managers. It's the same thing. So then an overall, like the head coach would be somebody like me that can come in and
get all the systems
What you were
together.
describing, though, is what Bill and I are kind of working through in terms of getting him out of the kitchen and allowing him to be more of that head coach, overseeing and
work
finding
on the business more than working in the business.
And then finding that, captain of the
and that's so
ship.
hard. I'm sure you find the same thing. The fun part is getting your hands dirty, right?
Yeah,
I don't love paperwork. I don't love HR policy issues.
Well, that's why I'm here.
Yeah, there you go.
It's good to have that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think a lot of it is in the concepting and the idea of like, can we make this work? When we were working on that hype video for Hammond, we just did something that's way out of line for something that we don't normally do. We did a hype video for a sports team. And so I was like, okay, one of the things I want to do is fire. I want to put fire on the volleyball, right? And so how do we do that? So I started researching, how, in a non-creepy way, how do I set volleyball on fire without burning the volleyball, right? So so much of the fun of it was like us in the studio here, right? Bringing a volleyball in. Can we set the volleyball on fire without burning the volleyball or the kid?
Right.
Obviously, we don't want to burn the kid.
Not good for business.
How do we do all that? Like, what kind of smoke machine do I want?
Right.
In it, all of these tube lights and stuff were all bought for that project, and that's so much fun for me.
Yeah.
That's like where I get really excited. Even though I've been in this business 19 years, almost 20 years, that's what gets me riled up. I'm sure it's the same thing for you.
No, it is. I carry, I go through 5 subject notebooks at a rapid rate.
Yeah.
As soon as I get it, they get separated into first 3 chapters are each restaurant. 4th chapter is for the F2T, the farm, and the events that we do through that. And then the 5th one is just like random stuff, home things and everything else. But I can't. It's impossible to execute all the ideas that end up in those notebooks.
Right.
And I guess that's my biggest problem and my biggest challenge is being the dam that prevents a lot of things from happening. Because I find that sometimes, and there have been instances where I've tried to give some projects to people, and either they don't do them in a timely manner, or they don't do it the way I've envisioned it.
Right.
And I get, I'm sure there's business books written about this, but I suffer from it for sure. that I get so excited about certain things, and I jot them down, and I figure out how we could implement them and everything like that. And then unless I implement them, I feel like it's going to take me longer to explain to you what I want than for me to just do it.
Yeah.
But then I get piled on with a bunch of other things and all the other chapters in the book that I have filled things out, and before I know it, I haven't accomplished anything.
Well, and imagine the joy of getting to the place you're at is being able to work with people who are in a lot of ways better than you, right? You're able to bring in chefs that can do stuff that you can't do.
Always looking for that,
you know?
yeah.
And so that is a lot of fun to see that when I'm able to bring on a freelancer or hire somebody that I think this guy's way beyond what I'm capable of.
Right.
So I'm just going to come up with the idea, and we'll set him or her loose.
Yeah.
And just say, make something incredible.
Yeah.
Right. And
that's fun. I mean, like, what's fun is like if I'm at one of the restaurants, especially like at Dragon Room or up at Bourbon with either Kat or with David at Dragon Room.
Yeah.
I can basically just talk out a cocktail of like what it should be like and which ingredients I'd like to see incorporated into it.
And then they just go.
Both of them can, they just have that ability to take that, and before I know it, they're setting something down in front of me that I'm like, that's exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah, that's really cool, and that
Yeah.
works well.
So that's cool. I look forward to walking into work every day. Like I wake up every morning excited, no matter how many things are in front of me and on my list of things to do. I wake up in the morning really excited to get on with the day, still to this day.
Yeah.
And I've been doing this now for 30 years.
Yeah, it is interesting once you find that thing. So let's hold a second. I got to go tell our neighbors to turn the music down. I'm hearing. I don't know if y'all are reading it.
Can you hear it?
I can't hear it.
I don't think you would pick it up on those mics.
It's Little Richard. Why is anybody listening to Little Richard?
Hey,
help me.
I like Little
Help
Richard.
me understand.
Little honey dippers and
Oh my God, man! Like,
honey drippers.
yeah, they were listening to Patti LaBelle yesterday, and I was like, "What? Who's listening to Patti LaBelle?" Like this.
Well, they vary there.
This next door is the perfect conversation we should have.
Oh my
with
God!
Kristian.
Yes. Oh my God!
They've
Christian.
had 4 different restaurants next door.
Help us understand
since we've
what's
been
going
here in the
on.
last 2.5
All right.
years.
So there's this place next door is now called
Soul Food,
Soul Walk.
Soul Walk,
It's called Soul Walk.
Yes.
Soul
Okay.
like.
I'm assuming we haven't been over there yet, but I assuming it's a soul food Asian fusion thing. All right.
Okay.
Grand
cool.
reopening's coming up.
What was previously was a place called Rollout, and Rollout was what they called egg rolls, but I cannot reckon. We got one time. It looked like a hot pocket. It was a
Hot pocket.
It was a pizza.
Yeah.
It was a pizza like egg, like they called it an egg roll, but I don't.
And then
They were
before
just
that
filling
was
it with different
Egg Roll Hut,
before that was Wings and Thangs,
Wings and Thangs with a Z,
and then
they-
before that was Crab Kings.
And
No,
they were-
it was wings and daiquiris.
Oh, that's
right.
Oh,
But it's just changed concept every couple of weeks. And it's
why?
like,
You're asking why? Okay, I'll tell you
what
what.
in the world are they doing over
Well,
there?
So-
we think there's some money laundering going on.
Well, I don't know about that. I would say that what's probably happening is it's an inexpensive entry level space for
Yeah.
a place.
Yeah.
And so people with an idea for a restaurant and the just enough money to do it,
Yeah.
it gives them that opportunity.
Right.
I whenever people come to me and they tell me that they want to open a restaurant and they have an opportunity such as a space like that, I always say don't.
Right.
That whole location thing, I think when it comes to restaurants, it's just two locations. Mm-hmm. But if you don't even have really one, you're really putting yourself behind the 8 ball from the get-go.
Because you got to get people to it, regardless of how good it is. You gotta
And
get people to it.
so the problem there is that, like, if you've only got one location out of those 3, real estate, that real estate golden rule, if you've only got one, then the other 2 are going to have to be promotion and advertising, marketing
Right.
like crazy because nobody's going to know where you are.
Right.
So that's on the plus side. You guys get to try out different things on like every
Scared
6
to go in
months.
there.
Yeah, we've not been in there in a while, but it's
Man,
interesting.
it sounds like a fun concept.
It used
Well,
to be
and-
Southern Bellies.
yeah,
before they
Southern
shut
Belly,
down.
like way long ago.
Yeah,
Jay,
Southern Belly.
Jay
yeah.
that owns the Melting Pot. I mean, you think about being in the restaurant business 30 years. Jay's
Yeah.
had that place for at least 30 years.
Right.
Right. Because I remember me and my wife and her mom came here for her birthday when we moved to Columbia. So 96.
Yep.
We came here for her birthday, and so
Yeah.
it's been going since then. So let's talk about that for just a minute. I think that's interesting. You have always found good locations that had a bunch of people around, and I think that's an important thing. I recognize working with California Dreamin' for all the years that I did, they would research a location for a year before they put a restaurant in.
Right.
And it just made so much sense. You kind of seem to focus on the concept side as much as the location, probably, making sure you got a good concept and a good location.
Right.
But there are places that do really well. We were talking about yesterday, Steel Hands is in a horrible spot, right? They're way out there in West Columbia.
But but they're a production facility, and a lot of people, beer lovers love the fact that you can go and get I don't know, for lack of better words, a very fresh beer.
Right.
And they did a beautiful job on
On the spot.
the spot.
Yeah.
So yeah, that breweries are a little bit different. Like Mike did a really good job at River Rat, with
Yeah.
the outdoor space and all that. So my places have been more of a space becoming available that at a time when I was ready to do another concept. They've kind of been like the Olympics, like one every 4 years. And some, let's face it, Gervais and Vine didn't work at first.
Right.
Gervais and Vine was the furthest thing down in the vista. And then when, what was it, South by Southwest?
Yep.
Then became Rivers.
Yep.
They closed. They went there through their entire life cycle of 2 restaurants. Excuse me. Before they finished the building that we opened in.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember
So
that.
we were turning our lights on and they were turning their lights out, and it was rough.
That was Paul Chernoff, too.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
that was rough. So I actually, people forget this, but I opened Gervais and Vine and then sold it.
Right.
Probably 6-9 months later.
Right.
And then repossessed it and took it to what it was. I mean, when I turned
Yeah.
it into a Spanish concept. So I can't say that here's a good one. The one time that we did research a location was the only failure. That was Mr. Friendly's in Lexington.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I forgot about
So we
that.
we did a Mr. Friendly's in Lexington in 1998, and that was the first time. So we were like, oh, well, we're going to do this right. So we're going to research the demographics and the market and all that stuff. And on paper, Lexington looked like it was on fire. Like there's
Right.
no way we can't
Yeah.
be like the best restaurant in Lexington. That didn't work at all.
Wow.
What ended up happening was, and we didn't figure this out until after we closed it, and I think the beginning of 2000. I think it lasted about a year and a half. I was talking to a friend of mine, this older guy from New York, and we're discussing it. And I was just kind of lamenting the fact that we failed that. That one failed. And he goes, "Did you do the grocery store test?" And I go, "I mean, we looked at everything, like
Right.
median incomes and blah, blah, blah." And I said, "I don't even know what that is." And he just said, "If they don't have the ingredients that you have on your menu at the local grocery store, that market is not ready for you."
Oh, interesting.
Interesting.
And it just came flooding back to me all the times that I ran to buy low to get something for the restaurant, and they didn't have it.
Right.
Like they had white vinegar, cider vinegar, and maybe a little red wine vinegar. But they didn't even know what balsamic vinegar was.
Wow.
Blue cheese normally didn't have it. If they did, it would be the little ones wrapped in wax.
Yeah.
Decent bread. not possible. So there were a lot of things on the menu that I just couldn't get out there. And then I was like, oh, that makes sense. That's why it died on the vine, basically, is that there really wasn't, they weren't looking for that kind of food at the time.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Well, I think
now they
it's-
got 17 grocery stores, so.
Right. Now
they've
I
got
could-
a
now, Mr. Friendly
they got all
doesn't
those
work.
foods. They
Now
got all
I-
those foods in
yeah.
Lexington. We don't have it in Irmo, right?
So now I could, but I'm so gun shy about Lexington at this point.
Yeah.
And the traffic out there that I can't do it.
Yeah, we have talked about the traffic in Lexington on several podcasts. It's interesting that how much of a topic that is. One of the curiosities I have is that you seem to. I want to talk a little bit about farm to table and what that's about. Like why do that? Why is not a bit, maybe why, I don't know.
Right.
We'll figure that out. But changing Black Rooster from French to Italian, a lot of these things seem like you're just saying, hey, how far can I go? Farm to table is one of those where I think the first interaction I had with it was the Main Street dinner.
Main Street dinner, yeah.
Yep. Because I don't remember what we did something with that. I guess we were working on the video for that, and we did a drone shot over the over the thing.
Yeah.
But talk about pushing those boundaries a little bit. Why not just be safe with the restaurants you have?
That's a good question.
And stick with it and make money.
I should.
I know. I get that question in my head all the time.
I should. I really should. But when, I guess, it goes back to the reason why I went into this, and I found myself kind of falling into this, is that, like you, I'm a creative. And what I found is that this business allows me to be creative in so many different ways.
Right.
So whether it be working on the marketing, photography for social media and all that stuff, working on recipes, you name it, it just is a non-stop creative endeavor, except for the HR and stuff like that. Yeah. So when Vanessa, my partner in F2T, came to town and did the first couple dinners at City Roots without me, I was like, I finally met her and I was like, hey, so how do I get in on one of these dinners? And she was like, oh, you want to do one? And after we did a couple, and Ryan from 116 wanted to step away to get to focus on his business, I was like, I'll do this with you. And because basically I like cooking over fire outside. That's probably my favorite thing of everything we do. So that was an easy ask, and then that just expanded into all the other things that we do. Unfortunately, it expanded into catering for a while, which I hate catering, and so we recently we've dialed that down to we kept a few of our big clients, and other than that,
I saw the name changed.
Yeah, now we're doing a name change to kind of to show everybody that we're focusing more on the big events that we do, like the Drink Pink Rosé Festival, the Great American Whiskey Fair, the Pig and Oyster Roast, and then the harvest dinners. And we've gone from doing harvest dinners in every month except for maybe July and August to now we're only doing 3 in the spring and 3 in the fall when the weather's the best. So yeah, well, why would I do that instead of focusing on one restaurant? That's the literally $1 million question. I can't help myself. Maybe that's like an addiction in a way. I've thought about this, and I've thought I probably make more money if that was my motivator. I'd probably make more money focusing on one restaurant alone and narrowing that 5-subject notebook down to one and being able to execute all those things instead of spreading it out among all the things that I do. And who knows, maybe in the future I'll do that, but I don't see that happening, really. I love it so much. I love being able to kind of bounce between. I don't know. People say oh, well, that's a you must have ADHD. And I'm like, well, I don't think so. I think you could take some of my quote unquote symptoms and pigeonhole it into ADHD, but the fact that I'm able to accomplish as much as I do, I think shows that, and I have multiple interests outside, so it's not like I only get work done when I'm working on that. I've got a lot, gonna go play hockey tonight, and love to travel and there's a lot of stuff that I like to do.
Well, you're from Minnesota, Brian's from Wisconsin, so you guys probably have the hockey as a foundational sport. Like, foundational sport for me as a Southern person is football, baseball, basketball.
Right.
Hockey is not a foundational sport. That's
you don't have a choice in the winter in Minnesota. Right. your dad floods the backyard, puts skates on you, and gives you a stick, and that's it. That's
right.
you. That is your foundational.
Did you ever play hockey?
No,
just football.
football, basketball, baseball.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that's interesting. My friend Jeff Liberty's from Canada, and so he plays hockey still.
Yeah.
And I'm sure. Do you know Jeff through the hockey thing? Probably not. Then. Yeah.
Does he play up there?
No, he plays at the Plex.
Yeah, that's where I play.
Yeah,
It's the only place to play.
Yep, and so he's a blues guitar player. So
I don't
that's
know
how I know him.
I'm not sure which league he's in.
Yeah, I don't know either. I haven't ever interacted with him on the hockey part. I've already, he and I interact on the music part. So but that's interesting. Well, I think what you're saying and what I always end up with too is that we could make more money if we focused on one thing, but it wouldn't be nearly as much fun. You know?
And money's never been the motivator.
Yeah,
obviously, because I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not. Yeah.
Restaurant business though is notoriously not a good business.
The margins are tiny, and recently they've been even worse because of food inflation and it's tough. I mean, people, and then also in this state, what people don't understand, and I think they need to before the end of this year, is that you're going, due to South Carolina's liquor liability laws.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of restaurants closing. A lot. A lot of bars and restaurants are going to end up closing, a lot of venues and things like that, because the insurance rates are skyrocketing. The national average is $2,060. I have friends in the industry who have recently been quoted over $100,000.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So that money has to come from somewhere, so it's going to end up in menu prices,
right,
until they do something about it. And then, like I said, the legislature doesn't come back until end of January. So in this last quarter and beginning of January, you're going to see literally not tens of restaurants and bars close. You're going to probably see hundreds. The first ones to go are going to be all the VFWs. Already they're closing because they can't afford it. Because what they're looking at is the liquor or alcohol sales in general, because South Carolina decided years ago to put into their constitution that you had to, if you sold alcohol, you had to sell food. Well, a VFW, other than a fish fry on the weekends or, spaghetti feed.
Yeah, they can't really do that.
No.
Yeah.
And all the money that they generate from their bar goes towards all of the outreach that they do, So like your honor guards that go to all the veterans' funerals and things like that. All that money goes into those programs and in other ways to help veterans. And so because of these onerous liquor liability laws, you're going to see those close first. Then you're going to see places that only basically serve alcohol. They're going to close, whether it's a little wine bar or a beer garden or things like that. New
Brooklyn Tavern's going through it right now,
New Brooklyn Tavern, because it's a venue.
Yeah.
It's not a
It's not a restaurant.
Yeah, they can't sell enough food to placate the requirements, and so the insurance companies are pulling out at a rapid rate. The Hartford just pulled out of South Carolina. It leaves like maybe 4 or 5 that will write liquor liability insurance, and unfortunately right now for every $1 that they get paid for liquor liability insurance, they're paying out $2.90 in claims, because like I have to carry a minimum of $1 million. I'm fine with that. That's sure, that's okay. Problem is that they don't go after you for just $1 million.
Mm-hmm. So is it per restaurant for you, or is it
per restaurant?
Yeah.
Yeah. So luckily we're a restaurant. You know, we have restaurants. So ours is not as bad as, say, Phil at Wico, Andy at Art Bar, Doug at Vino Garage. Like, they are getting hit with way high. And then trust me, we've seen ours go up 300%.
God.
They're seeing theirs go up 1,000%.
Wow.
More.
And
So what's the solution? How do we fix it?
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple ways there's a couple solutions. One of the easiest ones would be just an amendment to Title 15, which basically allows it basically lumped it excluded alcohol from everything else as far as suing people came. So now because of that, if somebody stops at Bill's Bar and Grill and has a beer with dinner, comes to Bourbon, has a cocktail with their friends, then on the drive home stops at your bar, you know, and has a couple more, they pull out of the parking lot and they hit somebody and hurt them or kill them, you know. They come after all of us. And they'll come after the one that has the most insurance even more. So, like,
oh yeah.
if I have more insurance, if I have more ability, they'll come after me even though I served them one cocktail. They'll come after you because you served them a beer with dinner. So it's unlike anything else. Like, the responsibility is spread among everybody. The worst case right now is the Folly Beach one, where the girl hit and killed the bride and seriously injured the groom. They went after her place of work, even though she hadn't been there, because, quote, they encouraged their employees to drink at fellow businesses in Folly Beach.
Wow.
So,
Golly.
yeah, so it's bad.
Yeah.
So if they don't do something about it, they're going to lose a lot of places.
Well, and the restaurant business right now is in a challenge because of, you know, the pinch on prices, on how, you know, expensive ingredients are, but then also people are becoming more expensive and everything else is. So the insurance thing is just
it's just on top of
bad
it.
timing.
Yeah, it really is. So so we've definitely. I mean, recently we had to cut back one of the benefits that we offered our employees, but we just couldn't anymore. We literally couldn't. That money now has to get used towards paying for liquor liability insurance.
Golly.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And that's why your salad's $20.
That's
Yeah.
right. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, this is what we had lunch yesterday. We were like, okay, well, the sandwich is $16, right? And then there's a fee for using the debit card, right? And now I got a tip.
Yeah, okay.
Now I got a $22 lunch, you know, and I can't do
I'm not going to
$22
throw anybody
lunch.
under the bus for that one, but I don't believe in that.
Right.
I don't believe in the credit card, charging the customer for the credit card fee. And I know that it's legal to do, and places do it, and they say that nobody complains about it, but
We complain inside.
Oh yeah,
I think I do. Like, the first time I ever saw it, I was a little put off by it, and I mean, what's next? Like a 1%, Dominion
chair
fee
tax?
for another
Well,
half
what they do in-
percent for water and sewage. Did you use the toilet? Did you?
So what's your rule on tipping on a to-go order?
There is no rule on
or
tip.
a counter order, right?
Yeah.
If you're walking up to a counter,
I'm
Everything
sorry,
has
that-
you spin the thing around and then you got to put in the tip. Everything now.
And it's preloaded starting at 20%.
Right.
yeah. And then you got to be the jerk that changes it from 20 to 15, or 18 or whatever,
Or 10.
or something.
or
For a
just
counter
0.
order.
Well, and
Yeah,
you know
I-
how they do it in Europe, where if you go into some of these places, you get $1 per chair, fee for sitting down, and then they don't expect you to tip. There's like ways of doing that.
Their whole thing is different in general. I mean, you also have to understand they have universal health care too. So.
Right. That's a whole other.
That's a whole other
conversation.
Yeah.
So I curious what's next. So I've said the Quentin Tarantino of restaurants. That means that Tarantino has done all of the
I'm like him right now.
movie concepts, right? You know?
I'm like him right
so,
now.
Yeah, so
I'm
his-
done.
Next is sci-fi, right?
Yeah, I'm
so
done.
he's
I'm
he's
done
going to
for
do
now.
his sci-fi movie, and then that's it. He's at 10, right? So what's next? What restaurant concept comes after the Dragon Room?
Oh, I don't know. I really haven't even thought about it. I'm trying so hard just to keep up with what I've got.
Yeah,
That thinking about other places, like I in those notebooks are other concepts.
Right.
I've written out concepts over the years, so many of them. I'll look back, I'll page back through them. Occasionally I'll find a notebook and I'll go back through and I'll be like, that's still a great idea. Like that would still fly. Like in the right spot, that would still fly. I mean, I had talked to Jimmy about taking over the Southern Belly concept. And he was just getting tired of it, and he was like, I'm not the guy to run this. Like, and I seriously thought about that for a while, of taking that over, but
are those all gone?
Yeah.
They're all
yeah,
gone?
yeah.
I miss it, man.
I know.
love Southern
No,
Belly.
it was a great concept. He really
It's a
came up with something good.
gigantic sandwich. It was just awesome.
Yeah, but
This is my dad's favorite place to go.
Yeah, but he said he's like, I'm not the guy to do it. Like,
Yeah.
um,
It's a lot of that too, probably.
And I understand that too. Like, I get that. Like, there's things we've done in the past where I'm just like, I'm not the guy. Like catering, I'm not the guy for that. Like, nothing is going to make me more angry than making beautiful food, than putting it into a box, driving across town with it, pulling it out, sitting and waiting, being told that they were going to eat at 7:30, only to be told at 7:30 that, oh, we're pushing it in an hour. And I'm like, I just want to throw all this food in the trash
Warming
and
it
go
up.
home.
Yeah.
Like you just, are you kidding me? So,
Well, what is the hole in the? We talked about the hole in '95 was Mr. Friendly's. What's the hole in the Columbia restaurant market right now? We've gotten a lot more ethnic, like Korean and Thai, and
I think we need another crab restaurant.
yeah.
It needs to have some kind of fun alliteration.
I
you
think,
know?
yeah, right? That's what we're missing. I don't think we have enough crab alliterations and
Crazy crab,
crazy crab,
crunchy crab.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I think that's it. I think
that's it. That's the one. That's where we go.
Trying to think, like, I love Russia's. I wish Russia's would, like, I feel like there's a space for a new fast food place that is like the quality of Russia's, but with more fun.
Yeah.
Have you ever had Culver's?
Culver's, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think even more fun than Culver's. Like, I think I've got a buddy in St. Louis, and Mike, and he was the same thing as me. He had 5 different concepts, same thing,
Yeah.
barely made money at all of them, and but loved what he did. And then he took advantage of a fast food place that had come on the market, and he started his own like fast food place and did that. He kind of did much more fun food, and he said it's literally changed his life. He has so much fun with it. They come up with the goofiest fast food items, and they'll run them for a limited time. And he said it's crazy how much fun they're having with it and how profitable it is, because that's what people are looking for. They're, I'll be honest, when I'm in a hurry and I'm looking for something quick and I think of the fast food places around here, I'm really underwhelmed at what what the giant places do, because it's the same at almost every place, and there's nothing new on the menu, and if I do pull in and they have something new, I'll usually immediately try it, like
to see what they're up to.
Yeah.
We just got a Whataburger in Ballantyne.
In Irmo, yeah.
That's what I
exciting.
heard. Yeah.
And you can't go there.
You can't go there.
You know why? Because there's you pull into Ballantyne, you go, oh, Whataburger's open, because the traffic is backed up all the way in both directions, and so because we are so
I had
desperate.
Whataburger when I lived in LA.
We are so desperate for something new.
Yeah.
That the line is around the block for Whataburger. If we ever got an In-N-Out here, it would
Oh,
shut down.
forget it. Yeah.
It would
Yeah.
shut down the
Yeah.
entire city.
Yeah.
But it's I love that idea. And I will tell you an idea that I saw when we just did some work in Columbus, Georgia. And there's a restaurant in Columbus, Georgia called Animal Farm. And what Animal Farm does is they transform into a national chain for a night for a special dinner. So they did a Texas Roadhouse night where they just decided they were going to do the Texas Roadhouse menu. And
that's cool.
They've done Wendy's. They've done TGI Fridays.
Oh, that's fun.
They've done all this stuff where they just become a different restaurant for the night, and it's like $25 or $30 a person to walk in the door, and then you just get that.
You get that menu. I like that. See, so that's what I like.
I've never seen anybody do that before.
I've had one that was like, I wanted to call it like tailgaters.
Uh-huh.
So it would be like you're going to a tailgate every night of the week, because there's football every night of the week.
Yeah, you could just have like a drive-in theater-sized screen at the end of the parking lot that's showing some game.
And then you have just giant tents where everything you would find at a tailgate would be there, and it would be like, hey, $20, all you can eat.
You would not make any money. You would not make any money at
all.
all.
Well, the liability on having all of these people in a field.
And it would be BYOB.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see any problem with that. None at all. You should try it.
There's never going to be any issues with.
You should try it, and you should make a documentary about it.
Right. We're just going to try this and see if it works and document the failure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
because people love that in a
people love.
documentary.
Yeah, they do.
If you can document something that failed, they're so excited about it.
Everybody loves that.
Well, Kristian, I will tell you that if you let me run the kitchen, I'll let you come and do this for a day, and we'll just trade.
We can screw each other's businesses up. It'll be a contest to see how much we can screw each other's business up in a day.
I got to tell you, I'm going to screw up more in the kitchen than you would here, because
maybe
I've got all these people around you. They'll just shepherd you right through it.
Well, hey, same at my place. Like, you'd have all the training wheels in the world over there.
Right.
So. They probably wouldn't let you touch anything.
Probably not, right? And
you can wear the chef coat.
Yes, I would love that, and I want one of the really tall hats.
We actually did that. We raised a bunch of money for charity one time. We auctioned off a day in the kitchen.
Oh wow!
And our friend Rafi won it, and we got him a custom chef jacket. And he got to come in early in the morning and spend the entire day all the way through service with our chef at Rosso.
Right.
And
just prepping and cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he got to learn all the stuff behind the scenes. So at the end of the day, he could say, no, I never want to open my own restaurant.
Wow. Well, I will tell you, I could talk to you for another hour. I think it's really fun to talk about this stuff. And I don't know if you know or you remember, but the video I did of you at Rosso.
Yeah, I do.
That was the first. So when I was wanting to get from the wedding business into doing more commercial video, I said, I need to do stories about people outside of the wedding business. And I just called up Kristian out of the blue. And I probably hadn't talked to you since I left Retail Systems at that point. Yeah. I think I was 2010 or 11 that we did that.
Yep.
But that started, everything that you see here started from that video. Because I had an idea.
It's still on YouTube.
Yeah. I had an idea that I could do it. And
it was great.
And I was just, and down to the point that like Kristian came in the white T-shirt, a typical thing, and I didn't know where to put the mic because I was like, oh God, where do I put a mic on a white T-shirt? Like he didn't have a jacket on or anything, so I tucked the mic behind his collar, and then I got home and the audio was just terrible, and I had to go, oh crap, like all of this is ruined because
it's all B-roll.
I put the but I fixed it. I got into it's one of the things you do, right? You go, I put the mic in the wrong place. How do I fix it? And but I mean, that was the start of everything for this. It was doing that video.
Well, I think that I still look back on it. I love that. I think that came out great, and I think that it really is one of the favorite ones.
I didn't have lights. You understand?
No.
The reason why we sat him in the front window of the restaurant is because I didn't have any lights.
And the lighting was perfect.
I didn't own any lights. So I was like, okay, well, how do we do this without lights, And I think those limitations like that are so cool. I did want to ask you one more thing, and I know this is going to go long. So many of your places have been kind of intentionally, I'm going to say small, but like Bourbon was the example. I remember you and I talking about like if you open a small place, it always looks full.
Yeah.
Right. Talk about the intentionality of having relatively small places, versus having a Longhorn Steakhouse where you can have
cheaper rent.
hundreds of people.
Well, yeah, cheaper rent. I think what I like about there's a lot of things I like about a small place. I like the coziness of it. I like the fact that it fills quickly, stays full. It also means you have to build a smaller kitchen because you don't have as much footprint to work with. That means less people in the kitchen, which means they can only put out so much food based on the number of people. Like at Bourbon, like on a really busy night, we probably have 5 people in the kitchen.
Right.
You start talking about larger restaurants, and you start talking about having anywhere from 8 to 15 people in the kitchen, and the economics just don't work if you're not busy.
Right.
So you have to be able to keep it full, keep it rolling. I mean, that was one of the biggest problems with Rosso, was that it was a much bigger. It was the largest restaurant.
Yeah.
Bourbon now is actually
because you took over the second.
Yeah, if you go into the secondary space, but Mr. Friendly's was 20, I think 1,800 square feet to start, and then we broke into the space next door, and that gave us like 2,400 square feet or something. It was
wow.
So Gervais and Vine was, I think, 2,550. Dragon Room, small.
Mm-hmm.
Black Rooster, technically pretty small until you bring in the rooftop.
Upstairs, yeah.
So the economics at that place can really kind of be made or broken based on weather, because you can only fit so many people in the dining room.
Right.
And if you can't seat the outside or the rooftop, it can definitely hurt. So, no, I've always, I've been offered spaces. Like, that's the funny thing in this business, is that you have a little bit of a success with a restaurant, and then every development that they do, there's a space for a restaurant, Kristian. We got a space. We got 6,000 square feet carved out for it's like that that kind of space doesn't work for small guys like us. It's more of that's a chain, national chain sort of space. They require, a minimum of 6,000 square feet and upwards. And that's not us.
Well, it's funny how you see there's a place for everybody, right? I know, when we work with California Dreamin', California Dreamin' is a city.
Yeah.
It's usually multiple levels. It's usually, and that kitchen has to work like a brigade. You have the captain in charge of the brigade, and they all follow them like, down to precision. That's just a way to run it.
Yeah. And they do a great job.
Yeah.
And so it's all about consistency.
Right.
Make those recipes to where they can consistently get them out, and it's the same as the last time that you had it.
Slim it down, make sure that it's manageable.
Yeah. No, I'm fascinated by all those places. Everything from that all the way to a place, like Alinea, where they've got probably 40 people in the kitchen,
right?
Serving maybe 40 people that evening.
Right.
It's you can glean information in our business from any size and every type. Kind of like your business, you can learn from somebody shooting on the fly with an iPhone all the way up to what they use on a movie set.
Oh, listen, I always wondered if I could deduct my Netflix account on my taxes, because I get so many ideas for what we do here.
Seriously,
from Netflix. And I always say one of the biggest influences on our wedding videos was 300, was Zack Snyder's 300. Because of the
fighting,
the way he used
killing.
slow motion, like I wanted to use slow motion the way he used
the oiled
right?
bodies.
Yeah, all of that, right? Yes,
on a wedding video that really works.
The sense of desperation, all of that stuff. The Oracle.
Yeah, they were.
I love. But the trailer to 300 is still one of my biggest influences, because they used Nine Inch Nails in the trailer.
Yeah,
and I thought, okay, that is a bizarre kind of contrast between the Spartan stuff and the Nine Inch Nails, and I thought all of that stuff influences the way that we do things. I'm sure it's the same thing for y'all. So
yeah Every place.
Take it from all that. Well, that's awesome.
I love it.
I swear we could go on another hour.
Well, we got 5 more questions.
5 questions. Here we go. Rapid fire.
Okay.
You ready? You ready for it? All right, Brian's going to ask the question.
What is your favorite sitcom?
Arrested Development.
Nice.
What is your favorite character, like fictional character?
Brock on Venture Brothers.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
What is your favorite season of the year?
Have to be fall.
All right.
Yeah.
We had one lady
Not as much pollen.
We had one lady two podcasts ago said Christmas, and I hadn't thought about Christmas as a season for some reason. She was like,
Some people take it as
I know. I
They're
thought
already
that.
starting.
I was like, oh yeah, Christmas.
They've already
I didn't even
started.
think about that. So
And this is one that I was thinking about this morning coming in. What is your favorite dessert?
Oh, that changed, actually. It was hands down for so long cheesecake. Didn't matter what kind of cheesecake. Like I could scarf down cheesecake like crazy. And I'm, most everybody I know is like, oh, Kristian's not much of a dessert guy. But number one, hands down, never probably going to change again, strawberry shortcake.
Oh,
whoa,
nice.
all right, that's a shift. That's a big shift.
Yeah.
Cheesecake to angel food,
Well, and that's the thing. I don't care what base it is. It could be Angel's Food. It could be a well-baked, sweetened biscuit. It can be, like a real shortcake. It could be pound cake. I don't really.
Strawberries and whipped cream.
I don't really care. Strawberries and whipped cream on some sort of spongy thing. It could be
Nice.
could be a dish sponge. I don't care.
Nice.
That's my number one, hands down. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then favorite song?
Ooh. That's tough. I would have to say Ordinary World by Duran Duran.
Nice.
Oh,
That's a good one.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, and bonus question.
Yeah.
What would be your last meal if you were on death row?
Thanksgiving.
Okay.
I've thought
nice.
about this one.
Nice.
Dude, I have thought about this one.
What is your Thanksgiving meal?
Oh, just very traditional, but I make it. I get to make it because nobody really can do it the same way. That's the only problem. Like they would have to let me actually craft it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
just go
Which
into
I
a
don't
slumber.
think they would.
I don't think
they
so.
would.
Yeah, I don't think the knife-
The
the
inmate
knife
wants to
and the-
cook
Yeah.
the dinner, so we give the inmate.
Hey, I heard
access to
something
the
really
knives and
upsetting
stuff.
the other day, and that they don't allow, they don't
They don't allow last meals anymore?
yeah, like you don't get to choose what it is. I mean,
Oh.
you basically just get,
Just eat in the cafeteria.
yeah. I think that's,
Well, that stinks.
Did they just had a guy that was on death row. He was
Yeah.
like 10 years on death row.
Right.
Did they actually?
I don't
Well,
think
can
he-
follow
I,
through with
can I
it
ask you a question? Is that one of those things that we always thought was a real thing, but never was a real thing?
it could, that's
Because I don't know. I don't know anybody that's ever been on death row. Or
No,
I'm not,
nor do
I've
I.
seen Green Mile.
I mean, right?
Well-
but like, is that one of those things like quicksand that like isn't
all
like
my
a real
friends
problem?
that have been on death row, I've never had a chance to ask them after the fact.
I know
Like,
because after the last meal,
yeah,
they're just
like,
gone.
Wait,
And,
wait, I wanted to ask him, how was the last meal? Like,
what was that like? Was it just a cheeseburger? 'Cause
yeah,
that would be
like I don't
mine.
know. Did you get the lobster like you wanted? Like nobody would answer that.
That
for
may have
me.
been a thing that just never happened, and we just always thought it happened.
Maybe.
So
Yeah.
I don't have any idea. Well,
I don't know. So yeah, maybe it's a moot point. Maybe I just
maybe
like
it never did happen.
maybe I don't. Maybe that question doesn't matter after all.
But we've all thought about it.
We've all thought about it. Yeah.
Yeah,
We've
what's
all
yours?
thought about what our last meal was.
Oh.
Yeah.
Pot roast, mashed potatoes, peas,
Nice.
crescent roll.
Okay, yeah,
Covered in
kind of
gravy.
similar to
Yours?
Thanksgiving
Yeah.
cheeseburger.
cheeseburger.
Yeah, but cheese not a like fancy restaurant half-pound cheeseburger, not like the higher grounds type cheeseburger.
Yeah.
It would be off of a flat top grill.
Yeah.
In a place
A smash
that-
burger.
Yeah, like
diner style.
diner style
Yeah.
with onion rings and fries mixed together and like Max downtown.
Griddled onions on
Yes,
it and
exactly
cheap American cheese.
Exactly.
Yeah.
American cheese, like a mustard and ketchup in packets. That's my cheeseburger. Yeah, that's what
I can't do the packets.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that bothered me about Rockaways at the end was that they after COVID they never
they
went
went to
back to have
packets.
it. I used to have to they kept with packets.
Yeah.
And I actually drove around with ketchup in my truck just so I could stop at Rockways and get a burger, and I would just walk in with my ketchup and set it on the bar.
Right. I have to become like that. I think I'm so religious about my cheeseburgers that if I don't know the place, I will say to the server, I need you to bring out the mustard and mayonnaise early.
Yeah.
I want you to bring them now.
Oh.
Before the burger's ready. Because there's nothing worse than staring at your burger
Dude,
waiting for condiments.
It is our biggest challenge at Bourbon. You know, we do the burger, beer, and bourbon special for $12 at happy hour.
Yeah.
So you get a great burger, tap beer, and a shot of Old Forester bourbon for $12. It's the best, I think, by far, still the best happy hour deal.
Yes.
But our biggest challenge is getting servers and bartenders to remember to bring the condiments out as soon as you order it.
Yeah.
Because you're right. I do not want it put in front of me.
And then I got to wait.
And then I'm like,
Where's my server?
Because
Excuse
who's
me,
eating a cheeseburger
pardon?
without condiments on it? I mean, like it happens in
It
restaurants
doesn't.
all the time, and I have to go.
that's a travesty.
Even for experienced restaurants, I have to go. I need you to bring the mustard and mayonnaise out. It's fine. Please bring it out now.
I don't care if it forms a skin on the top by the
That's
time
right.
the burger comes.
I want it sitting
don't
there
care.
waiting for the burger, not the other way around.
So where's your favorite burger?
Okay,
Some of your favorite burgers.
My favorite burger is the Silver Fox Grill in Ballantyne.
Silver Fox Grill.
Yes.
Gonna have to go there.
Now it is off the Lake Murray Boulevard. Wait a minute. Yeah, Lake Murray Boulevard exit.
Yeah.
On the way to my house. in
Okay.
Irma. It is a so I'm a child of the '80s,
Same.
as are you. It is the burger that I had growing up. Right.
Okay.
Nothing fancy. Iceberg lettuce.
Yeah.
Slice of tomato, pickle.
Yep.
The whole thing. It's consistently great.
We used to call that California style when we were kids.
Did we really?
Yeah.
So I had a place. When I was growing up called the Jolly Stop. It was a gas station that had a flat top grill in the back, and burgers were $1. And so you could get, the kids would get burgers. We would ride our bikes up to the Jolly Stop and get burgers, and that's the burger I have in my mind.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so when I go to Polly's Front Porch or Higher Grounds or one of these places that have the half-pound burger and it does avocado and egg and ham or whatever
Yeah.
else, I'm like, nope, that
No.
is not. That's another thing.
It is.
Y'all enjoy it.
It is.
But
It's
it
like
ain't-
the deep dish pizza
Right.
to pizza. Like,
Right.
it's different.
Yeah, you're a Chicago guy. Like, is deep dish pizza the
So-
real thing?
Real Chicago pizza is not deep dish.
Deep dish is like a tourist thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Real
I
Chicago
gotcha.
pizza is thin crust.
I
cut in
see.
squares.
Interesting. So
Squares.
Silver Fox and Max. So Max downtown.
Yeah.
And there are other places you can get a great burger. I'm sure they have one at No Name. I've never had the burger at No Name. But
Yeah, I haven't either.
I'm sure it's good.
I always get a Reuben.
Yeah, me too. And it's
The
it's
second
one of those-
greatest sandwich.
Right.
Oh, now let's go to lunch.
That's right. Christian, thank you so much for being
Thanks,
on the
guys. I
podcast.
really
man.
appreciate it. It was
Really
fun.
a lot of
It was a
fun.
pleasure to meet you.
Yep.
We'll do a round 2 and we can talk about all sorts of other
Yeah,
shit.
dude. I want to talk about the bear. So that was the other thing I had in my because I feel like the bear for you is PTSD. Like you watch it and you go, I can't watch this.
I didn't
because-
watch it forever, and I finally turned it on and watched it, and it's really good.
Yeah.
It's really good. They do a really good job of kitchen culture and all that, although I don't believe in calling everybody chef.
Right.
I think that's
everybody.
something you earn.
Yep.
But that would be like everybody in the symphony calling each other, maestro.
Maestro, yeah.
Doesn't work. My only gripe was, so the dude takes over his brother's like beat up old restaurant, and yet every pot and pan is brand new.
Right.
Like the prop guy on that show could have gone to any restaurant
Just
within a
picked up
2-block
surplus stuff.
radius
Yeah.
of that place in Chicago and said, I'll tell you what, I will trade you this entire set of brand new pots and pans if you can give me your old shitty ones for the show. But like, there's just no way. Like,
It really made me want to go get an Italian beef, though. Like, it really made me want to go to Chicago to get an Italian beef. I don't think that might be the whole in Columbia's restaurant scene. Let's do an Italian beef. place.
Okay, so that's one of the things that when you talked about the other day, when you talked about the restaurant that does like separate
Yeah,
menus from
yeah.
different places. That's one of the things that I would love to do that I find that I don't have time to do. Is like when that show came out, I wanted to do Italian beefs at one of the restaurants, like just
Right.
do an Italian beef night.
I think you have an Italian restaurant.
Even if it's not the same. Yeah, that's
Upscale,
that's-
upscale.
I think it would have worked better at Bourbon, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to do that. Like, and there have been all sorts of other like food trends where I'm like, let's face it, the majority of us look at that. We see it on our, a reel comes up from Bon Appetit or Food and Wine magazine or some other place, and it's just like, and this is a new food trend. 99% of us will look at it and go, that looks fantastic. I'd love to make that. I'm never going to.
Right.
But I would eat that. If somebody made it, I
Yeah.
would eat that.
Yeah.
I told one of my chefs one day, I was like, look, anytime one of those things hits, like, why don't we just go ahead and make it and go, hey, you saw it in the new Bon Appetit magazine.
Yeah.
It's all the rage in the reels and stuff like that.
We'll see
We're
if we can
making
do
it for a
Yeah.
night. Like, come try it out. So you
Right.
don't have to. So,
Yeah.
but that's on my list of things to do, along with about 1 billion other things
Right.
that is still a good idea, but I just haven't gotten around to it.
Well, if you need any help taking the marketing load off, just let us know.
I will. Hey, that's a great idea. Wait, nice finish.